Coming up on this episode of NPS Now, Norfolk Public Schools recognized Computer Science Education Week. Berkeley Campus Stella Early Childhood Center received a high honor from Apple, and Camp Allen Elementary hosted a special guest from the U.S. House of Representatives. All that and more next on NPS Now. Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner. Norfolk Public Schools students participated in Computer Science Education Week with a variety of hands-on classroom activities. Here's the story.
Computer Science Education Week and the Hour of Code were celebrated across the district during the second week in December. At Azalea Gardens Middle School, students participated in a festive holiday coding activity and worked on programming Sphero robots to perform specific tasks. These sixth graders enjoyed the challenge of coding and finding solutions to programming.
They love the interaction. They love the fact that they can actually code something that can actually perform and do exactly what they want it to do. It's a technological world we're in right now, and going forward, everything we do from here on out is all about technology. So learning now will actually prepare them for the future.
Over at Blair Middle School, students in both technology classes were engaged in a wide array of activities. Some were normal for the class, while others were unique to the Hour of Code.
Well, my students are working on some computer science activities. We are doing Tinkercad, which is a program that's the software for 3D printing. We are also doing Lego digital design, which is in conjunction with Virginia Ship Repair Association. We do a competition with them. And then they're also programming EV3 robots this morning. Oh, they love it, and I love it too. We learn new things together, and they learn something that they can take to high school and beyond.
We are programming robots. Right now, I'm using the sensor to program the robot to turn, do a swing turn, go backwards or go forward. It's fun because at other schools, I don't think you can find this opportunity to program robots, make them say hello, make them talk. It's very fun.
I think it's a great thing to have here at Blair, and it teaches a lot of kids that there aren't that many limits in terms of stuff like this, and that it's really accessible, that you can do this at a time and age now. I do want to carry this out into my future, especially after seeing that my dad's job, he did a year program at another company, and I saw that this is really applied today in modern jobs, and that it can be very helpful.
Berkeley Campus Stella Early Childhood Center was recognized as an Apple Distinguished School for the second time during a special ceremony. Pre-K 3 and 4 students marched through the halls along with the Lake Taylor High School drumline to open the event. Speakers from the city, school district, and Apple all spoke about what the award means and how this partnership benefits students and staff alike. As the only Apple Distinguished School for 3 and 4-year-olds in the world, Berkeley Campus Stella will be providing this innovative technology to their students for 3 more years.
It means a lot. I am so proud of the work that we're doing each and every day in the classrooms, how we have transformed our classrooms to 21st century learning environments. The capacity level of my teachers to integrate technology throughout the creative curriculum is phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal place to be, and it's so wonderful to be able to share this recognition with my entire school family.
We are on the cutting edge in Norfolk Public Schools, and there's so many wonderful things going on in our division, and this certainly is one of the many exciting things. We're extremely excited about the Apple Distinguished Award, and it's just the beginning. And so we're looking for additional great things from this learning center. So we're extremely excited about this initiative.
It's great. I mean, he gets exposed to technology that he wouldn't be exposed to at home. I mean, we don't have these things, and he seems to enjoy it. I see it the most, I think, in his reading. It's really interesting. And he's also really, really good with certain apps that we don't really expose to at home very much. he seems to pick it up really quickly.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, you know how the times now is changing and everything's going to technology, and the way that they're picking up on it is fascinating, actually. I can't even explain it. It's really growing, really improving. And like I said before, like just being in the technology field of things, it's advancing a lot more than I would expect them to.
Students and staff members at Camp Allen Elementary welcomed Congresswoman Elaine Loria to their new school in November. She began her visit by meeting with faculty and staff about their unique needs and concerns due to the large amount of military-connected students that attend the school. Afterwards, 3 fifth graders took the Congresswoman on a tour of the new building and let her see up close the outstanding teaching and learning occurring there daily.
It's really great, and I know that Camp Allen, specifically where it's located within the city, serves a lot of military families. And being in Congress on the Armed Services Committee, understanding, how much military families move and how there are federal programs that, help with schools like this. So this beautiful new building was built partially through DoD funds, and being able to keep those grant opportunities available for communities that have a lot of military children is really important. So being able to come see it and see how the children are thriving here just really brings it to life.
I always enjoy showing her what great things we have going on here at Norfolk Public Schools, and I just welcome the opportunity for any of our elected officials, community members to come in, tour the schools, hear from the students, listen to the staff members, because they are the true boots on the ground. And she listened very attentively to the needs and concerns that our staff and students have, and I think she learned a few things from our students.
So it was awesome. Just to see my children engaging with her was the highlight of my day. We try to teach the students here at Camp Allen that they're part of a greater community. So having her come in, have conversations with them, and listen attentively to them, that was amazing for me. And also for my staff, just to know that we're being heard and that our concerns and our needs and our achievements are being recognized. So that was great.
The Norfolk Public School Board invited delegates from the state, along with representatives from the city and community, to their legislative day at Richard Bolin Elementary. Prior to the discussion about the school district's legislative priorities, guests were invited to tour the school and new Jordan Newby Library next door. This annual gathering enables our school board to let state officials know the school system's wants and needs before the opening of the General Assembly.
As we know, in Virginia, our legislature meets, it's part-time, and so it meets in January, and it can be a short-term or long-term. And so this year, it's very important for us because in Virginia, we've had a major shift in power. And so some of the priorities are different. And so being able to have this conversation now allows us to kind of level set and set the stage so that we can make sure that our legislators who are here with us and abroad across the Commonwealth understand what we are championing for.
Listen, I think probably the number one priority that any of us have is educating our kids in a safe and productive environment. And I think Norfolk Public Schools is one of those exemplars throughout the state of things we get right. But nevertheless, we need to know day to day, month to month, exactly what your needs are, so that we can make sure that we keep up with our commitment to our kids.
We need to understand, boots on the ground, what the differences it can make to have certain policies or certain funding in place. And then it's important for us to meet with the people who are the local. I mean, I was on the school board in Virginia Beach, so I've been on the other side of the table. And if they want our representation in Richmond, either on policy issues or on funding priorities, then we need to talk to them and find out what those are.
As part of Virginia College Application Week, Granby High School held a career and college fair for students. Representatives from several 2- and 4-year institutions, as well as the armed services, gathered in the Commons area to give students the opportunity to ask questions and apply for acceptance. Some of the colleges even offered on-site enrollment, scholarships, and other financial aid. This event gave students the chance to find out about various options and access to the application process without actually having to visit the college campus.
I think it's an awesome idea because most people don't have the opportunity to submit an application. Most people don't have the opportunity to go visit a college. So I think this is a great opportunity where colleges come to us and they have the opportunity to see what they have to offer. And same with all different branches. Branches of the military come every single day to school, but then when they get a sit-down opportunity, I think that works out great for the students.
Granby High School's Career and Technical Education Department hosted its 9th annual Lunch and Learn. This event is designed to get students who are interested in engineering together with community partners and stakeholders, giving them the opportunity to discover and keep up with the ever-expanding options available to them. It also provides the students and members of the engineering community the chance to have serious conversations about their career pathways after graduating from Granby. Booker T. Washington High School students listened to a strong message about life skills and preparing for the future. The National Stay in School and Career Awareness Program stopped at the school as part of this year's tour. Champions for Champions, an initiative of Sports Inside and Out, facilitated this event. Former NBA player Wally Jones, along with representatives from the U.S. Army, talked to students about being positive, making good decisions, and life after high school.
The Shoot for the Star program is a program designed from retired sports legends, and it's geared toward giving the programmatic structure for kids as far as mentoring, career awareness, peer pressure, mentorship, and how to basically give the kids a sense of support in the things they may want to do educationally on and off the court.
Over 200 students and parents gathered at Taylor Elementary for their Family Literacy Night. This well-attended event provided some fun while celebrating and promoting the school's focus on reading and comprehension.
Tonight is our literacy night, our family night of bringing families together before the holidays. We are celebrating with our reading fair projects that our students have worked on all quarter long. And then we are going to end the evening with bingo and just some family celebrations and turkeys. We have, I think, 180 student projects displayed. So those families have come out to see their students' reading project. And then we have also their younger siblings and lots of other students from lots of grade levels to enjoy the evening. These events are very important to us here at WH Taylor because it brings the families and the teachers and the students all together to celebrate our love of learning and just our fellowship and getting together. So this is a great way to start the holiday season, but we're combining our love of literacy and our focus on school-wide comprehension.
Granby High School celebrated its 80th anniversary by inducting 5 new members into their Wall of Fame. The evening, which was hosted by Granby alum Regina Mobley, honored each of the 5 inductees during a special ceremony and gave them the chance to talk about their time at Granby. Everyone was happy to return to the school and grateful to be recognized by their alma mater.
It is a warm feeling that it is so hard to put into words. After graduating 45 years ago and coming in here, and as soon as I walked in the door, I was welcomed by the NJROTC, my guide. And when I saw my name and him holding the card, it just was a very warm feeling. And it just brings back a lot of memories, and it's good to see that the Granby High School spirit is still alive and well.
If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, please be sure to contact us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Stay tuned for more NPS Now.
A historic day for Norfolk Public Schools and the city of Norfolk. Let's begin with the undefeated Maury Commodores as they traveled across the water looking for their first state title in 80 years, taking on Stonebridge from Loudoun County. First quarter, E.J. Gibson goes up top looking for Keandre Lambert. The future Penn State Nittany Lion comes down with it for 33 yards and the 6. Two-point conversion made it 8-0. Gibson calls his own number for an 8-yard touchdown run to up the lead. Commodores made it 21-0 when Cameron LeBourne scampered for 2 yards. Gibson, who had 224 passing yards, hooked up with Lambert again to make it 28-0. Lambert finished with 135 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns. Stonebridge made a game of it, scoring 3 straight touchdowns to cut Maury's lead to 7. But the Commodores resorted to ground and pound football to run out the clock and complete a perfect season with a state title.
I'm so dang proud of my kids. I put them through a lot, and my coaches, I put them through a lot. Words can't even describe it right now.
Man, words can't explain how I feel, man. I've been waiting on this since my freshman year, man. I'm so happy that me and my guys got it done. Words can't explain how I feel, man.
1 title down, 1 to go. Lake Taylor Titans travel to Liberty University in Lynchburg to take on Tuscarora from Loudoun County. Huskies are driving in the first quarter when Malik Newton comes up with the interception in the end zone. Titans go to work on offense. Junior quarterback Jeff Foster on the keeper. Runs deep into Huskies territory. Few plays later, Foster goes up top to Darius Spate for the 6. Extra point made it 7-0. Second quarter, that combo strikes again, this time from 13 yards. Titans up their lead to 14-0. Later, Foster, who had 4 TD passes on the day, lays it out for Newton, who comes down with the sweet one-handed grab for the touchdown. Tuscarora would get one back to make it 21-7 at halftime. Out of the gate in the third, Spate caught his 3rd touchdown of the game to make it 28-7. Newton, who had over 140 yards rushing, scored a touchdown as the Titans captured its 3rd state title with a 34-14 win.
It's a blessing. All I can say is a blessing. Scoring for my team, win the state championship, feels good.
But the biggest challenge I have, believe it or not, as far as the state championship, my wife is the girls basketball coach at my school. And she has 4 state championships. And so I've been washing dishes, cleaning the house and cooking, trying to catch her. And even with this one, I'm still 1 down. And guess what? She got a pretty good team this year. And if she won another one, I got dish pan hands.
More coverage of these 2 state championships on a future episode of NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Sutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today in the studio, we have 2 special guests. We have Sean Knight from the Virginia High School League, Maury High School graduate, and then we have Tony Brothers, an NBA official and a graduate of Booker T. Washington High School. Guys, we have you down here to talk about a topic that's a real important topic in high school sports, and that's sportsmanship. So, Sean, talk a little bit about yourself first, and then let's get into the sportsmanship.
Well, certainly sportsmanship is one of those things that's always been near and dear to my heart. I was very blessed coming through Norfolk Public Schools and Maury High School at a time where we had coaches who really valued that, who really valued the development of the whole person and really prepared you for life outside of high school and outside of athletics. And so today, having the opportunity to, in some ways, give back, serving the Virginia High School League and serving our young people is really a joy for me.
Okay. Tony, talk a little bit about your role as an NBA official and how you got to that point.
Well, actually, I started locally, refereeing the little kids, and then into high school basketball here locally. I spent 3 years refereeing here, and then I went into the CBA. Spent 4 years in the CBA and then into the NBA.
Okay. All right. Very good. So let's get right into this topic. Sean, let's define sportsmanship how we want to define it through the Virginia High School League.
Sportsmanship from the Virginia High School League standpoint really is about mutual respect through competition among players, coaches, officials, and the spectators. We really want everyone to understand and respect every aspect of that equation. We all enjoy the games, we enjoy the competition, but it's vital that everybody remembers their role in ensuring not only that those contests are still here for our young people, but making sure that those contests evolve and continue as they should be. That win or lose, everyone leaves the field having had a good experience. And it's difficult to do that when any aspect of that equation loses sight of why we're there. We're there to celebrate the young people and not to make it about us.
So we talk, the crust is respect. And we've lost a little bit of that respect towards any game. And looking at numbers last year, player ejections, over 700 ejections, coaching ejections, over 70 ejections from the coaches, and then just the sports that are really kind of highlighting this. What sports are we looking at that kind of are abusing this?
Well, I think to some degree the elephant in the room sometimes is football strictly, but surely by numbers. I mean, just the volume of players and young people that are involved in it tend to drive those numbers higher. When we get into the spring, soccer tends to be an issue. We have taken some measures from a rule standpoint to try to address those rules within the game of soccer that used to really be objectionable, that really were not issues of sportsmanship, little handballs and those kinds of things. And so we've kind of taken those things out, but the numbers still remain alarming. And some of that really is indicative of the surrounding culture and our wider culture that has really become more divisive, more combative. And that's why it's so important. Education-based sports is so important because the mission of education-based sports is very different than some other opportunities that young people have. We're trying to prepare young people for life after high school, for life in a broader community where people don't always come from your same background, who don't always think the way you do. But at the end of the day, we have to figure out a way to coexist and in some situations actually work together for a common cause despite our differences. And education-based athletics and activities really pushes that. Now, obviously the numbers aren't where we'd like to see them. And so we're still pushing against that trend that exists in our broader culture.
Okay. All right, Tony, we mentioned respect. I mean, you're at the highest level of athletics. I mean, the greatest athletes in the world. From your time in this league, as you have grown in the league and been around, how about respect from that aspect? Are these players, do they show the respect? Are they demonstrating the respect? Because we mimic a lot of things that the people that you work with.
Yeah, well, I think in the instance of the NBA, you see, but you don't hear. So you may see someone charge towards an official and you think they're saying something that they're really not saying. A lot of times they just don't want to come out of the game. And so they know the coach is going to take them out of the game. They missed an assignment. They didn't do something they were supposed to do. So they deflect and they make it seem like it's the official's issue. Sometimes it's even playful, but it's because of relationships that exist there. So one of the things that I have been trying to do here with high school basketball is have coaches meetings with officials where we start the season out where we all get together, where they can get to know each other and their relationships there so that they don't come in like they're the police, like they're wearing a badge instead of a patch. And part of that's the officials' problem because the egos get involved, and when you have someone telling you didn't do something correctly versus you feeling you did something correctly, I mean, it's all really judgment and angles and everything. And so what I'm trying to do is create relationships because that's the thing that powers the NBA, are the relationships and the fact that we have the same 30 teams and we see them all the time.
All right, so let's talk about the player's responsibility, because obviously everybody has a responsibility in this, but let's talk about what we expect from players at the high school at the level, and then obviously we can talk a little bit about the NBA, but as a high school official, as you lead those, how do you discuss that with your officials as well? So player responsibility.
I mean, obviously when you're talking about young people, often players and their responsibility and how they embrace their responsibility really is going to be a function of how their leadership establishes those responsibilities and where those bars, where those lines are established, and what that level of expectation is. And again, one of the challenges that we have in our schools now is that more and more of our coaches are non-teacher coaches. And again, well-intentioned, many very, very knowledgeable about their specific sport. But when you don't come up through the ranks of education and understanding adolescent development, understanding Understanding basic principles of pedagogy, sometimes that presents a challenge for how to communicate effectively. And as Tony's alluded to, I mean, the respect is all about relationship. It grows out of relationship. And so one of the things that we are really pushing to do through our statewide coaches education program is help undergird coaches with that understanding and provide more opportunities for growth there. So that they understand, to Tony's point, what they see or what they think they see when they watch the upper levels on television really may not necessarily be what's going on, but at the high school level, they begin to mimic what they believe they're seeing. And so we are trying to help them separate perception from reality and trying to encourage them, again, to set high standards and high expectations and high degrees of accountability for our young people, because that's the world they will enter. They will enter a world that won't make exceptions or turn a blind eye to certain behaviors. And so we certainly expect our young people to do that, but more importantly, we expect, again, in educational-based athletics, we expect the leaders of those young people to establish those norms and establish those parameters for what's acceptable and what's not.
Okay, so another neat stat that Tom Dolan provided to all the area meetings was, just what these infractions are. So I mean, fighting is obviously one, and it's around 155 ejections from that. And then we have just the profanity directed towards officials, and then we have the racial slurs that are directed to each other, to an official, to a coach. So from the official standpoint, how do you deal with some of these things, because it's not always unsportsmanlike. Sometimes it's friendly bantering, but anytime how do you address those with coaches, players? Well,
as Sean said, it really starts with the coach, and that's why we have a coaches meeting. We're gonna meet with the teams, we meet with the coach, because a lot of times the coach actually creates that type of environment for the kids. They're always against us. They're always against us. They're always against us. And so then the kids can't have any respect for the person that's always against them. And so what I have tried to do with the officials is to say, when you run into that instance where a kid says something that to you is offensive, in his neighborhood it could be a term of endearment, go to the coach first. Tell the coach, say, hey coach, look, this is what he said, and we just can't have this. Now, if the coach is in the mindset that they're against us, then there's no help there, right? And so that's why I say it all starts there. If we're going to be trying to pull back, still we protect the integrity of the game. So that's from calls that we make to the way people perform to the things that they say and everything. And we have to be fair in that. We can't allow one kid to say something here and then tech the kid down here. But what I would like to see them do is to be able to go to the coach and say, hey coach, he said this. The coach knows if this person, and when they say this, what that meant. All of my officials may not know it. Culturally, their backgrounds might not allow them to know. But now if the coach doesn't say, hey, no, that's not good. You come, you sit down, right? Then that behavior becomes acceptable to the kid. And then how do we manage them? We can't manage them. We don't know them well enough to do it. So as Sean was saying, and my focus has been one on the referees, because we have referees with serious attitude problems, right? When I came into the NBA, I had one. You go in there and it's like people are coming at you all the time, and it really is just a defense mechanism for the fact that you make mistakes. But once you realize that you're always going to make mistakes, then it becomes less impactful when someone comes to you. So I'm just trying to take all of the holes that I've stepped in my 26 years and transfer that over to the officials here, because hopefully we can get a better understanding of each other.
So, go ahead.
And a lot of what Tony is trying to do from the official side, from a league standpoint, we're trying to meet them the other way, where more and more each year our coaches and our officials have to go through rules clinics prior to every season. And more what we're doing is we're getting the coaches and the officials in the same room for those rules clinics, particularly when we have an opportunity to do them in person. And again, it's always good when everybody hears the same thing at the same time, but by getting them in the room together, it allows for some relationship building. It allows for the tearing down of some of those artificial walls and some of those things that sometimes make those relationships combative. So the coaches see, well, no, he's actually a pretty good guy. I might have got a bad call last year, but he's really a good guy. He wasn't trying to get me. And from the official standpoint, they come to understand that the coaches, while they sometimes react in the heat of a moment, they begin to humanize each other and understand that we're all in this for the same purpose. And I think to the extent that the officials continue to do that, and our coaches from our standpoint continue to do that, I think if we can get the adult relationships in the right place,
that's the
I think it'd be a lot easier for us to work together to fortify our young people and ensure that they're prepared for what's next.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's an ongoing process that everybody has to have some buy-in.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the fans, because they're part of this as well. We need them to respect the time that they're in the building, in the stands, just as much as we want our athletes to, just as much as we want our coaches to. So again, from the league standpoint, how do we address the sportsmanship with fans?
Yeah, for us, some of it really comes back to our member schools and the administrators in our schools. And again, much like we expect our coaches to establish parameters for what's acceptable and what's not, for our spectators and our fans, our parents, it's important that building level administrators establish what's acceptable, what's not, and enforcing some of those things. And again, some of that, again, is about relationship. You know, more and more in this social media world where people really are not held accountable for what they say, and everybody's got an opinion and they feel like their opinion matters more than everybody else. One of the things we're trying to get our parents and our fans to understand is that if you continue to go after those officials the way you are, we're not going to have anybody to officiate these games. There is a dearth of officials. It is not a Virginia problem. It is not a high school problem. It is a national problem at all levels. And much of that is because of what they're having to endure now. Again, not from coaches as much, or not from the athletes, but from the spectators. And so if we don't corral that, if we don't work together to corral that and help everybody understand that, again, every component of that equation is essential to what we're trying to do, and begin to treat people with respect, we're going to start looking at coach officiated games if we don't change what we're doing.
So from the official standpoint, I mean, how do you deal with these fans?
Well, even one of the causes of that, like when you talk about not having enough officials, one of the causes are budgets of schools. So when you have JV basketball and you only have 2 officials, those officials are watching north-south. Right. The fans and the coaches are watching east-west, right? So there's a different angle on everything. So the coach may be correct, the fan may be correct when they're yelling because the person got hit. You don't have that third person there. And so it's very difficult to even have a conversation with a coach who's looking. He's looking this way. He saw the hit on the arm. It's very difficult to do that. And so for us, trying to get to a point where we can take the craft that we have and bring that craft in where it's going to be pleasing to the fans, to the coaches, to the players, is very difficult. Because we're like the policeman. If he's doing 85, if you're doing 85 and the policeman pulls you over, gives you a 1 and he's a good policeman, gives you a ticket, he's a bad policeman, but you were doing 85. That's our job, that's our life. And so from the fan perspective, I still believe it goes back to the coach. If you watch certain teams, and I won't call names, but there were teams back when I was officiating here that they went as the coach went. But now if you think about these officials are coming out at that point and they're starting in JV basketball, and this is what they're getting, they stop. Right. And so that's why we lose them. So we have about 30 new recruits, young people. I've been getting them from Old Dominion, the intramurals, high school. We do a thing with Norfolk Public Schools where the kids can come and work the Little League games on the weekends. And we're trying to do this. But even at the Mighty Mites games, you know, I have gone and refereed the Mighty Mites game on a Saturday, and the ladies told me, I don't know what I'm doing. And they all believe they have the next LeBron James. They all believe that. And there's only 400 players in the NBA, and they draft 60 every year. The odds of this one making it to there is slim to none. That's not to mean that they cannot play basketball, but you know, it's that mentality fueled by the reaction of that coach, which in turn goes to the kids. So the parents, just a little more, the parents or fans, i.e. parents, have another thing going on because they have an issue with the coach. The coach isn't playing their kid, so they're already upset when they get in. So they're sitting there, and if something happens, they're mad because John is in the game and my kid's not in the game. And then if their kid gets in the game and he probably doesn't play that much because he might not be as good as John, now fouls are called on his kid. Now it's the referee's fault when she's really mad with the coach. And so I think you know, I'm not trying to put everything on the coach because, as I said, I am working on the officials, the ego problems and all of those things that exist. But I think the fans' issues are a direct correlation to the coach.
Okay.
And the reality is the coach is really at the intersection of all of those relationships.
They are.
Yes.
Yep.
The official, the parents, the athlete, the coach really is at the epicenter of all of that, and that's why we're really we're changing how we're approaching our coaches' education to better prepare coaches, hopefully, to deal with the social emotional aspects of the athlete development, but also making more resources available to them to help them better deal with parents and officials.
Yes, that's a good question. Resources. What, you know, where would you direct either parents? And we do direct our coaches to some sites, but as a parent, where would you suggest for them to get some information on sportsmanship?
As a parent, you can go to the Virginia High School League website. We actually have a link there specifically for parents, and there are a number of resources, courses on sportsmanship, courses, they're sport-specific courses to help parents understand the specific game better. Sometimes it's not a matter of having a personal agenda against an official. Sometimes it's just blissful ignorance of the rules of the game. There are a number of resources through the National Federation of State High School Associations, NFHS, on their NFHS Learn site available to parents. Many of those courses are free, where parents can learn more about their sport or their child's sport, learn more about how to appropriately interact with their coaches, and learn how to conduct themselves more appropriately as spectators, so that they're not an embarrassment for their children. One of the things that we hear often from some young athletes when we have encounters of poor sportsmanship on the part of fans or parents is the children are embarrassed by their parents' behavior. And I think we had an area meeting last year where we were there talking with students, talking with parents, and a young student athlete stood up and said, hey, I just really want to tell my parents, to stop embarrassing me at my games. And often the parents think they're advocating, but there's a more appropriate way to advocate, a way that you can positively advocate without causing disruption for the game or embarrassment for the child.
All right, well, again, guys, number one, appreciate you taking time out, because I know you're very busy, both of you, for being down here to talk about an important topic. Good information, and again, we want to thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for asking.
All right. More NPS Now after this.
We want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, please be sure to email us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.